In this video, we're going to run your first bash script. So we're going to talk about all the little details that you need to be aware of in order to be able to, well, write your first bash script, make it executable, and then execute it. So in a way, when you first learn to write a bash script, you have an opportunity to leverage everything that you studied so far. So all of the command line tools that you have been using before, like ls-l, etc., you can just go to a text file, and in this case, my text file is named myscript.sh, and the suffix is not mandatory, but it helps identify the file clearly as being a shell script. Okay, so I could just put inside of my script a command, and then the whole idea is that I can then execute those commands. So I can put more than one command, right, in my script. What am I doing here? There we go, myscript.sh. Okay, I can put more than one command in that file, and they're going to all be executed one after the other. Okay, so at the most basic level, a script, a bash script, is just a file, a text file, in which I have a bunch of commands. Okay, and I'm going to put them in the script so that I can run the script one time and have all of those commands execute one after the other. So for example, here I put 3 different commands, 3 ls command, only trivial stuff to get us started, okay? 3 ls command in a script. Well, when I execute the script, I want this first ls command to execute, then this one, then this one, okay? I'm going to save that file. So if I just have a file named ls myscript.sh, okay, if I just have a file like that in my current working directory, I cannot simply execute it by typing the name of the file. That's not going to work, okay? So what I need to do is, as a very first level, okay, I need to say to a bash program, to a bash interpreter, here is a script for you to read and interpret on my behalf. So I can invoke bash like this, okay? We have done that in the bash. If I just type bash, okay, I have a new shell right now, and then when I hit Control-D, I exit that new shell, I'm back to my first shell. We've done that in previous videos. But now what I want to do is I want to run a version of bash, and instead of letting it be interactive with me, take over the command line so that I can enter command and see the result, I'm going to tell it I want you to execute myscript.sh. And if I do that, well, you can see here the result of executing the free command. So it's not necessarily super readable, okay, because we have a long ls-l that has been listing everything here in the current working directory. This is the top part of the terminal. Then I did a ls varlog, so there's a bunch of files here that were found in varlog, and then a ls of my home directory, the root of my home directory, and you can see here all of the files here in those 1, 2, 3, 4 lines at the bottom of the terminal, and there are a little bit more, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines at the end of the terminal, the bottom of the terminal. So instead of doing ls, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an internal command, and I'm going to use echo because that's really nice, okay, that's easy to understand. So I'm going to do echo hello there, echo this is my first script, and then echo pretty neat. Okay. So instead of the free ls command, I have like 3 echo statements. I'm going to save that. So now my file is a little different. I'm going to again invoke the bash interpreter. So when I invoke it like that with the name of a script to execute, it interprets every line of the script in order, executes the command that's specified on every line, and then exits, terminates, and I'm back to the original bash interpreter to whom I was talking, okay? So here in this case, now it's going to nicely fit on my screen. I can see that the free command executed one after the other, and I can always do things like ls, my home directory, and then echo, there we go, a few lines here to put the result of ls, the ls command to make it more visible. So I can run that. There we go. All right, so that's the essence of a script. A script is a text file. You type in that text file pretty much on each line what you would otherwise typed in a shell. Okay, so every command we studied is fair game. Every command can be used inside of a script, and then you execute it by telling bash to interpret that file line per line. Now there is another way to run your script, a little more convenient. So we're going to look at that now. So I'm keeping the same script, okay? I'm not going to modify my script, but now I want to change the way to run it. So if I take a look at the myscript.sh file in details, you can see the ownership is my current user, tux, group tux, okay, fine. Read-write for the owner, read-write permission for everyone in the group, read permission for others on the system. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use chmod, which we studied in a previous video, and I'm going to say, using the symbolic notation, everyone, so all, gains the permission X execute. So I want the owner, I want people in the same group than I, and everybody else on the system to be able to execute that file. So the permission have been changed. And now that the file is marked as execute, well, first, depending on the option of ls, it's going to show in a different color to mark it as an executable. Okay, so that's completely dependent of your shell configuration here. But more importantly, I can now execute it. Okay, so if I try to execute it like this, myscript.sh, it's still not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to, and I'm going to explain to you in a minute why, but if I want to execute it like this, I'm going to do dot slash, so that means dot the current working directory, okay, slash under that directory, I want you to execute myscript.sh. And if I do this, yes, it's executing. So I have to give the path, actually, the full path to myscript.sh. So in other terms, okay, if my current working directory is home/home/tux, I could type also /home/tux myscript.sh. Okay, that would work as well. So dot slash is not a magic notation. It's simply a way to specify the full path to the script that you want to execute. So why do we have to do this? Well, let's take a quick look at the content of the variable path. Okay, the variable path is not actually, it's there to tell pretty much a shell, okay, these are all the folder in which you need to look when you want to execute something. Okay, so you'll find here some folders that are very common, for example, USR local bin, USR local sbin, USR sbin, USR bin. So these are folder as long as /sbin/bin, where typically we put executables that are available system-wide. And then you can see that in my home directory /home/tux, I have, well, if I have a bin folder, that bin folder is actually going to be looked up first when I try to type the name of an executable. So that if I have a version of ls, for example, in my home tux bin folder, okay, that would get executed before even the system finds the real ls in one of the other system-wide folder. Okay, same thing for /home/tux.local/bin. All right, so right now, if I do a quick ls, you can see that I don't have that bin directory. Okay, and if I try to do a ls.local, well, I do have a .local folder. Okay, so if I do ls-a and then I just filter out everything that has local in it, you can see that yes, I do have a .local folder in my home directory, so I could put under that .local folder a bin, etc. But I'm going to take the easy way here. I'm going to look at my path and I'm going to notice that, okay, if I do have a bin folder, you know, that's the first thing that's being searched. So I'm going to create a bin folder, and then I'm going to close that. All right, close that file. I'm going to move my script into the bin folder under my home folder, okay? And I'm going to just reopen it real quick so that we still have the script here. So inside of bin, there we go. And now I'm going to try to run it. And I'm going to try to run it first, you know, without anything, without dot slash in front of it, without specifying where it's located. And you can see that now it's working. So again, what's happening is very easy, is every time you try to execute something, right, the shell is going to use the contents of that path variable, and inside the path variable, separated by columns here, you have paths where you are expected to find executable. So the first thing that's going to be done is looking for my script.sh in that folder. We find one, we are done. So let's clear up now the screen and let's jump to the last part we need to talk about concerning the basics of bash shell scripting. Right now we have been trying to have the minimalist approach to what a script is, okay? So we started with a plain text file, we fed that text file to a bash program interpreter, and we had it execute each line as if it had been typed in an interactive bash shell. There's one thing we didn't mention here. It's a traditional very first line that appears in a bash script. So this first line, first it's going to always be the very first line of your script file. Okay, it cannot be the second line with a blank line before or a line with anything before it. Okay, you have to start with first line, first character needs to be a hashtag symbol followed by an exclamation mark. So pound exclamation mark, that tells actually the interpreter that we are going to specify right after that a path to the program that is supposed to be able to make sense of this script. So you can have script written in a variety of language. You can have a script written in Perl, a script written in Python, a script written in Bash, okay, or ZSH or KSH or any of the other shells that are available on the Linux system. So by specifying here the first line what is actually the program, the interpreter that is capable to decode the language you've used in the remainder of your script to execute it, you are able to have like a file like, for example, myscript.sh, that every time it's going to be executed, is going to be executed with the correct interpreter. Okay, the appropriate interpreter given the language that you've used here. So let's take an example. So I'm going to save this. Okay, so I added this first line here, and this is referred to, by the way, as the shebang line. Okay, it's a terminology you're going to encounter many times. So now that I have added this, I can go again and execute my script, .sh. So hold on, my script.sh. All right. And whoops, it's telling me that permission is denied. So let me go back and fix that first. All right. Yes, I did rename it here. So hold on, let me remove this and chmod a+x my script.sh. Okay, there we go. Starting again. So let me go back to my home directory. There we go. My script.sh. All right. So my script is still executing. Okay, but now I have made sure that the bash interpreter was used here. So I could do things like, for example, I don't know what I have on this system, but if I was saying something like, okay, I want to use, well, let's take a look. Okay, do we have bean Perl, for example? No, we don't have bean Perl. So, well, let's put it in just to see what happens, right? If I said, for example, this is written in Perl language, so I'm going to preface my script by saying, okay, you need the Perl interpreter to execute this thing. Okay, I save this file and I try again to run it, and now it's telling me, whoa, bad interpreter, I cannot find /bin/Perl. Okay, so that's a very convenient way to say inside of your script pretty much what is needed on your system to interpret it. And by default, the system will try to run something like, I think, default sh to interpret a script. So if you write something very simple like this, okay, this would be something that the /bin/sh interpreter is able to make sense of. So you could even skip, the shebang line, but as a general practice, it's considered bad form actually to not put a shebang line specifying which interpreter to use, okay, because there are subtle difference even between something like bash and sh, okay. Bash is an evolution of sh, so it has features that are not available of sh, and if I was using those features in this code, then just relying on the default, interpreter being used to interpret a script would not really work well at all, okay. So make sure that all of your script start with that shebang line and that it point to actually an interpreter that is available on your system. And that's it. We have pretty much in a nutshell here all that you need to be writing your first very simple scripts all by yourself.